Hi there, I'm Ira Weinstein with Recon Research.
And I'm Jim Kelly with Recon Research.
So today we're going to talk about Zoom and we're going to talk about security. Now, there's been a flurry of news and articles and videos and talk about Zoom and security in recent weeks. Given all that usage and all these users, it makes sense. But let's start here. Video conferencing security is absolutely not a Zoom only discussion. It's a video conferencing discussion. It's a cloud service discussion. And the reality is that virtually all of the cloud providers, the cloud video and the cloud UC providers, have had security issues of some kind over the years, and they're constantly adding new features and beefing that up. So it's not just Zoom, it's video conferencing and security.
And Zoom just finished their 90-day security program. This was a sprint of development focused on security. They took developers away from other programs to work on this. During this time, they added over 100 new security updates to the platform. Now, there's always going to be a need to continue developing security, but this was a great start. Let's dig deeper into some of these features.
All right, Jim, so now the topic is data routing. And I think this is really cool because normally when you use a VCAS or a UCAS provider, you really have no idea where your data is going. You don't know what server you're using. You don't know where the bits are flying. But Zoom took another approach and they gave us some options. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I love this feature. Zoom gives us the ability to select which countries the data or even which regions the data is flowing through. You can select US, India, Canada. Maybe you don't want it going through China. Maybe you don't want it going through Europe. Easy checkboxes, super simple. They also give you the ability to select this at the company level, at the group level, or all the way down at the user level. So super simple and easy to use.
I like it. And it also works for Zoom meetings and Zoom webinars. So as people get used to pushing their information out there, you guys can decide everywhere the data goes. It's a cool feature.
Exactly.
All right, Jim, the next feature is going to be the waiting room. Now, I'm sure you know that we've had this waiting room capability in the video conferencing world for a long time. But in the past, the waiting room was controlled by people in the control room who would tell the bridge directly to let people into the meeting. So it was a supported only feature, but Zoom has now brought it to the masses. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, when enabled, participants go into a lobby and whoever's hosting the call will receive some sort of alert on screen and audibly that there's somebody waiting. They can let them into the room or they can reject them. It's that simple.
I love it. And if I'm correct, hosts can also define others who can let people into the meeting or not. So if the host wants to start it off and then hand it off to an assistant, that works too, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And then another thing that they allow is the creation of a pre-approved list. So people from specific domains or IP addresses can come in without having to go through the lobby.
I like that a lot because without the pre-approval feature, admitting people can be a bit of a pain and can interrupt the flow of the meeting. But with pre-approval, people who should be there get through without me having to do anything. So it's a security feature that helps you, but it doesn't get in the way. I love it.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, Jim, now we're talking about encryption. Now, this is another one of those that we've had in the video conferencing and the collaboration world for a long time. But to be fair, there's a difference between encryption and encryption. And also, we all seem to think automatically everything's protected, but often part of the world there is unprotected. So, Jim, tell us what Zoom's done here.
Yeah, with Zoom 5.0, Zoom really stepped up the game in regards to encryption. For all users. They added AES 256-bit encryption. Then they stepped it up even further by adding GCM to that. And then soon they're going to be rolling out end-to-end encryption across the board. So they're really stepping up the game and paving the way forward.
Yeah, I love the end-to-end side, right? It goes right from your device through the server all the way to the other device. There is no security hole there. Now, there's a bit of a negative, and this is not a Zoom thing, it's an end-to-end thing. If the server can't decrypt it, you lose a couple features. But that's a good trade-off if you're trying to really protect your meeting. And I guess the last thing, Jim, you may be aware of this, but Zoom recently acquired Keybase. Now, what does that mean? In acquiring Keybase, they got a couple of things. The main thing is they got a great team of encryption and security experts. So They added features and they added depth to the bench in encryption. I love it. All right, now we're going to talk about meeting controls. This is another one. We've had these in the industry forever. Either the support folks could control the meeting, and more recently in the UCaaS and VCaaS solutions, end users got control during the meeting. But Zoom has taken it further with some security spin in there. Jim, tell us about it.
Yeah, so Zoom gave us the ability to, do some basic controls like locking and unlocking meetings, but then they took it a step further here. They give you the ability to allow specific users to share their screens or disallow other users. You can allow people to change their name or not change their name. Participants that can mute themselves or not. You can even bounce people back to the waiting room if you need them out of the meeting for a couple minutes. Or another thing that's really cool is you can report people for inappropriate conduct, and then Zoom will take it from there and follow up.
It's kind of interesting, right? There was a time when being able to mute people just to keep, the dog barking from getting into the meeting, that was a big meeting control. Today, you can mute people and keep them muted so they don't interrupt. And you can also keep them from changing their name so they don't put anything rude up there on the participant list. I like where it's going. We should say that, not everybody's going to use all these things at the same time. It could be a lot of work keeping track of all of it, but you set your defaults, change what you need to, and then this is another one of those features that helps you, but stays out of the way. Well done. All right, so now let's talk about meeting recording, specifically recording your meetings in the cloud. Now, this is an interesting one. First of all, meeting recording has skyrocketed in the last few months. I can't believe how many meetings are being recorded. But this is an interesting one because you record it, you assume the recording is secure. Remember, once it's recorded, it's out there. So even if you've done the right things, you've encrypted your meeting, you've limited who you invited, you even controlled who shared content, you need to do a little bit more. Now, Zoom has added some value here. Jim, tell us about it.
Yeah, this is another area where Zoom has really built in a lot of power. Not only do they give you the ability to say who can record a meeting, but also who can share the meeting with the recording with others, who can see the cloud recording. I'm sure I'm forgetting some other ones. What else am I forgetting, Ira?
You are. For example, they can limit it to only people who register can see the recording. On top of that, they can require complex passwords, 12, 16 digits. And this is one I really like. You can pre-approve certain domains and IP addresses. But what does that really mean? It means that if I pre-approve reconres.com, for example, anyone from the reconres.com domain gains access to the recordings automatically. It's another one of those features that helps you, but doesn't get in the way. So it's another one that's well done. Okay, the next security feature is watermarking. Now, frankly, I love this feature. It's a bit geeky, it's a bit detailed, but once you understand what this brings, it's absolutely amazing, especially for people like us who create and present content for a living. Jim, take us through it.
Yeah, so this is super powerful. When the watermark features are enabled, participants are required to sign in to join a meeting. When a person shares their content during a meeting, the receiving participant will see a portion of their own email address superimposed on the screen. If they grab a screenshot or try to record the content, it will be obvious who did it. For audio, if a person records a meeting, their personal information will be embedded in the audio as an inaudible watermark. It's not something you can hear, but Zoom can when you submit it to them for review. So what does this mean for us, Ira?
Well, basically what this means is if you're having a meeting and somebody records it outside of Zoom without your permission, you can find out who recorded it later. It's not blocking it. You can't block everything these days, but at least once you find out someone's done it, you can figure out who it was. It's pretty cool. It's a bit geeky, it's a bit stealthy, but if security and data control is a requirement, this is another tool that helps.
We've covered a handful of Zoom security features that we find most interesting, but there are a ton more. This is really just the tip of the iceberg. Now, some of these items came from Zoom's 90-day sprint. Some have been around for a while. A few months ago, we would have said that Zoom was lagging a bit in regards to security, but today we see that other cloud providers are just working hard to keep up.
You know, the takeaway here is that Zoom gives hosts, admins, users, companies a ton of ways to secure their meetings and to secure their meeting content. You can even control how the users behave during those meetings. The beauty here is it's up to you, it's up to your company, it's up to the users and the hosts how much security they want to add to their meeting. The capabilities are there. They get to choose. It's kind of a have it your way approach. Now, our hope is that you'll use a bunch of these features, set the defaults so they're there all the time, and then use them. There's no reason to keep your meetings out in the open. This is Ira Weinstein. I'm here with Jim Kelly from Recon Research. Now, thank you and have a great day.